Good afternoon and welcome to the Daily News Analysis by Civil Service Institute, Pala. As we haven't had daily news analysis yesterday, we'll be looking at the important articles from yesterday's Hindu and also from today's Hindu newspaper. So moving on to the first article. 3 Kerala districts on high alerts over Nipah, 425 being screened. The Union Health Ministry is considering deploying the National Joint Outbreak Response Team to Kerala to assist the government in implementing public health measures, especially the districts of Malappuram and Palakkad is seeing a surge in the Nipah outbreak. Kerala to launch serological survey amid Nipah outbreak. Researchers hope to fill knowledge gaps pertaining to virus spillover from bats to humans and recurring outbreaks in northern parts, especially of Kerala. Recent cases mark 8th occurrence of Nipah in the state. So the state of Kerala is witnessing the Nipah virus outbreak for the 8th time in 8 years. Kerala has primed its response to the virus seamlessly, managing early detection, limiting the transmission, and successfully saving lives. However, in all these encounters with Nipah virus, researchers have identified several missing links or knowledge gaps. So, to fulfill and to find out these knowledge gaps, to know exactly about the exact virus spillover mechanism from bats to humans, the recurrence of the spillover events or outbreaks in specific geographic belt in northern Kerala, and how exactly human behavior, land use patterns, and bat ecology interactions are facilitating the spillovers will be studied. So scientists have proposed a pseudovirus neutralization assay-based serological survey among intermediate animal host and high-risk human populations in areas of previous Nipah virus spillovers. The idea is to collect healthy domestic animal blood samples, for example, from cattle, pigs, goats, dogs, cats, etc., and human samples from within a few kilometer radius of Nipah hotspots. The study is expected to open the doors to the mystery of Nipah virus disease spillover and transmission pattern in the state. Here we have two articles. In the first one, India is 4th most equal country, says World Bank report. Inequality in India has come down significantly between 2011 to 2023, making it the 4th most equal country globally, according to the World Bank report. This is in addition to the sharp decrease in extreme poverty rates in the country. The government attributed the reduction in inequality to various initiatives and schemes pursued during the last decade. The only 3 countries which have a better Gini index score than India. Gini index score is the measure of equality. The countries are Slovak Republic, Slovenia, and Belarus. The Gini index helps in understanding how equally income, wealth, or consumption is distributed across households or individuals in a country. It ranges in value from 0 to 100. A score of 0 means perfect equality, while a score of 100 means perfect inequality. That is, one person has all the income, wealth, or consumption, and others have none. Hence, absolute inequality. The higher the Gini coefficient or Gini index, the more unequal a country is. India's score is much lower than China's and far lower than United States of America. As per the World Bank's report, which has released the data for 167 countries, India falls into the moderately low inequality category, which includes Gini scores between 25 and 30. India is only a fraction away from joining the low inequality group. Let's hope our country crosses the low inequality group soon. In the other article, Home Minister Amit Shah lays foundation for India's first cooperative university. Union Minister of Cooperation and Home Affairs Amit Shah laid the foundation stone for India's first national cooperative university, advocating for inclusion of cooperative education at an earlier stage in the secondary school curricula. The university will come up in Gujarat's Anand, home of Amul, one of India's biggest and best known cooperatives. Mr. Shah emphasized the Tribhuvan Sahkari University's proposed role in fulfilling Prime Minister Narendra Modi's vision to strengthen the cooperative sector. He also launched a special course on cooperatives for the Central Board of Secondary Education. The minister also called for similar courses to be started by the state governments as well. The university will offer specialized courses in cooperative management, finance, law, and rural development. BRICS has no plan for an alternative currency. So currently, the BRICS summit is going on in Rio de Janeiro. So on the basis of that, we had an article in the Hindu on Sunday. So let's look at the article. Brazil's ambassador to India says the summit in Rio will focus on building intra-BRICS trade, climate change, artificial intelligence, and fighting terrorism. He says that the grouping may look at adopting local currencies as an option for conducting trade, and it will be on a voluntary basis. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi is attending the BRICS summit yesterday and today in Rio de Janeiro, along with leaders of the newly inducted members, Egypt, Ethiopia, UAE, Iran, and Indonesia. So please take a note here. The newly inducted BRICS members are, I once again repeat, Egypt, Ethiopia, United Arab Emirates, Iran, and Indonesia. All eyes will be on the leaders' joint statement, especially given India's focus on terrorism after the 𝗲𝗏𝗃𝗃 attack and Operation Sindoor, as well as differences with new members over reforms in UN Security Council. The absence of two key leaders, Russian President Vladimir Putin and Chinese President Xi Jinping, will be noted. Responding to a query on reactions from the US if BRICS moves towards de-dollarization, the Brazil's ambassador said that the grouping has no plans of creating an alternative currency, but will build options of local currency trade within itself, which will be good for all the participating countries. So here I have given a previous year question, which is from the year 2016. Consider the following statements. New Development Bank has been set up by Asia Pacific Economic Council. The headquarters of New Development Bank is in Shanghai. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? So before that, let me give a brief introduction about BRICS. In a 2001 research paper, which highlighted the growth potential of Brazil, India, China, and Russia by then Goldman Sachs chief economist Jim O'Neill, who introduced the acronym BRIC. In 2010, South Africa was accepted as a full member, and in the coming years, especially the 𝗲𝗏𝗃𝗃𝗃 Declaration was adopted at the 6th BRICS Summit in 2014, which marked the establishment of New Development Bank. And presently, the BRICS has expanded itself and has inducted new members and will induct in the coming years other countries also. So here the correct answer is 2 only. The headquarters of New Development Bank is in Shanghai, but New Development Bank is an initiative of the BRICS countries. Now coming to another news, also from yesterday's newspaper, it talks about a ritual called 𝗲𝗏𝗃𝗀. A petition in the Madhya Pradesh High Court seeks a ban on the Jain practice of Sandhara for minors after a 3-year-old girl diagnosed with brain tumor died in Indore, allegedly within half an hour of undertaking a fast unto death. So 𝗲𝗏𝗃𝗀, also known as Sandhara or Samadhi Marana, is a Jain religious practice of voluntary fasting to death by gradually reducing food and liquid intake. The practice is controversial and has faced legal challenges in India. Rajasthan High Court banned the so-called ritual, but the Supreme Court suspended the ban. So previously, a question was asked in UPSC Prelims. I don't remember the exact year, but the ritual called Salegana was described. What does the term Salegana describe? So a question was asked. Please take note of this. This ritual belongs to the Jain community. It means fast unto death. So a popular ancient ruler, a very popular ancient king also committed Salegana. Please do comment who was the king who committed Salegana. Moving on to the next news. What are the lessons from Telangana blast? So on the morning of June 30, an explosion occurred at a pharmaceutical factory in the outskirts of Hyderabad. The factory manufactured microcrystalline cellulose, which is nothing but refined wood pulp or powder. So as you all know, Telangana is a hub of pharmaceuticals. So what are the lessons from the recent blast that we can learn and follow? The laxity of the regulatory framework was stark on the day of explosion. When fire department and emergency personnel rushed to the site, they did not have any information about what they were up against. So it is mandatory for factories to put up green board on or environment display boards. It is mandatory, but the factory site did not had a green board, which was a major laxity from their side. So the police personnel or the fire personnel did not have an understanding what was the cause of fire, or they did not have the firefighting and disaster rescue operations did not have a guide or information about what caused the disaster. Disaster rescue workers were clueless about the nature of material involved and how to dose the fire. A tough regulatory framework with periodic checkups would have ensured that the information was available for a faster emergency response. So, what are the implications for the pharmaceutical sector? Telangana has emerged a pivotal contributor to India's life sciences landscape, accounting for approximately one-third of the country's pharmaceutical production, one-fifth of the pharmaceutical exports, and one-third of global vaccine production. The state's position as a pharmaceutical manufacturing hub has attracted significant investments. But safety and quality concerns have dogged some smaller pharmaceutical firms. Safety is one of the key aspects of branding for the pharmaceutical industry that helps build trust among customers. Any laxity in any aspect of the drug processing has a cascading effect for the company as well as the industry and also for the national economy. So what about pollution control norms? The initially isolated industrial area is now surrounded by residential areas. In the absence of robust and reliable public transport, worker colonies have cropped up close to the factories and industrial area. This affects the livelihood and health of people in the industrial cluster and surrounding areas. Environmentalists have documented how tons of toxic chemicals and effluents have been released into the ground and into water bodies around the region. The best example is the highly polluted Musi River. The high pollution is linked to poor wastewater management infrastructure and pharmaceutical manufacturing processes. The chemicals in the water have also been linked to rise in antimicrobial resistance. So the pharmaceutical sector holds the potential to attract investments and create high employment opportunities in Hyderabad and also for other places in the country. To capitalize on this potential, India must establish a robust regulatory framework. The explosions and accidents are loud warning signs for the industry and the country. This is from today's newspaper, today's Hindu. Indigenous heavy water reactors get license. The Atomic Energy Regulatory Board has granted Nuclear Power Corporation of India Limited, NPCIL, license to operate two indigenously developed 700 megawatt pressurized heavy water reactors at the 𝗗𝗃𝗃 Atomic Power Station in Gujarat. The license for a period of 5 years was handed over to the NPCIL on July 3, the statement added. The 𝗗𝗃𝗃 Atomic Power Station Reactor 3 had received permission to operate at full power in August 2023, while the 𝗗𝗶𝗃 Atomic Power Station Reactor 4 unit received it in August 2024 as part of the Phase C commissioning of the project. Since the 700 megawatt reactor was the first of its kind, the licensing process involved rigorous multi-tiered safety reviews and assessment of the reactor design, covering the entire life cycle in multiple stages from sitting and construction to commissioning at full power. So the issuance of the license is a shot in the arm for the NPCIL, which is spearheading efforts to build around 10 pressurized heavy water reactors of 700 megawatt each in fleet mode. Now, this is about the environment impact study for Nicobar project, which downplayed earthquake risk. So the report says probability of a mega earthquake, such as the one that led to the 2004 tsunami, is low. However, an IIT Kanpur report had pointed to uncertainty in prediction of future earthquakes. Professor who led IIT study urged infrastructure planners to conduct site-specific analysis. So this news article is pertaining to the Great Nicobar Infrastructure Project, a multi-mega crore project, which is going to come up in the Andaman Nicobar Islands. So the Great Nicobar Infrastructure Project envisages a transshipment port, an international airport, a township development, and a 450 MVA gas and solar-based power plant in the Great Nicobar Islands. Though accorded an environment and preliminary forest clearance by the sender, concerns about the potential loss of biodiversity, tree felling, and impact on resident tribes prompted the National Green Tribunal to order a review. A senior scientist in the Ministry of Earth Sciences acknowledged that while no specific site studies in the Nicobar Islands were commissioned for the project, it would be impossible to forecast when a massive earthquake was likely, and the calculated risk had to be taken in executing the project. So the environment impact assessment study, while acknowledging the region's proximity and susceptibility to massive earthquakes, primarily draws on a 2019 study by the scientist of the Indian Institute of Technology, Kanpur, stating that the return period, a term for the likelihood of a similar sized earthquake reoccurring, is 420 to 750 years for the mega earthquakes, that is magnitude of 9 or more. The return period is a shorter 80 to 120 years for larger magnitude earthquakes, that is greater than 7.5 on the Richter scale. Moving on to the next news. How computers' listening abilities are changing our relationship with the ocean. So the ocean speaks in the language of waves, winds, and unseen turbulence below the surface. So when computers tune in, they don't replace human curiosity, they just amplify it. They help us see what was once invisible, understand what was once uncertain, and prepare for what is yet to come. But this tuning is just only the baby steps. The real test lies in how we respond. So using data from satellites, ocean sensors, and remote platforms, computers are helping us decode the complex language of the oceans. Advances in artificial intelligence and modeling are transforming how we perceive and interact with the marine environment. Among the most fascinating of ocean phenomena are mesoscale eddies that can span hundreds of kilometers. So eddies are nothing but underwater storms. They redistribute heat, nutrients, and salinity across vast distances. All these features make the ocean very difficult to study with traditional methods alone. So this is where computational tools powered by real-time data are becoming indispensable. The health of our oceans is deeply intertwined with the health of our planet. As climate change accelerates, extreme weather events are becoming frequent. In this scenario, the ability to predict ocean behavior is a necessity. So artificial intelligence-driven analysis forecast storm surges are being given more accurately by artificial intelligence-driven analysis, and fishers can receive timely alerts. Coastal planners can anticipate erosion, and conservationists can track coral reef health. So artificial intelligence is giving us more accurate data. These goals are already being realized in projects around the world. So we have to utilize more of such kind of computational methods. Since climate change is becoming a reality, we have to use such computational methods. Why are Bihar's electoral rolls being revised? So Bihar is going to elections. Bihar is going on to have elections in the coming few weeks. So electoral rolls are being revised in Bihar. This news was continuously, such kind of articles was in news continuously for the past 1 week. So here we are going to see why are Bihar's electoral rolls being revised. The Election Commission of India has initiated a special intensive revision of the electoral rolls in Bihar before the general elections for its Legislative Assembly. Section 21 of the Representation of People's Act deals with the preparation and revision of electoral rolls. It authorizes the Election Commission to carry out a special revision of the electoral roll at any time for reasons to be recorded. The exclusion of Aadhaar as a document for registration is the first concern. Proponents of the special intensive revision in its present form say that Aadhaar is neither a proof of date of birth nor of citizenship. The Aadhaar card itself carries a disclaimer stating that it can't be used as a proof of citizenship. Hence, in line with constitutional and legal requirements, the Aadhaar has been excluded as a valid document. The second concern is about the exclusion of migrants from the electoral roll. Arguments for the SIR in its present form state that Representation of People's Act provides that only citizens who are ordinarily resident should be included in the electoral roll of a constituency. Migrants who have moved away for long periods of time on account of education, employment, etc., would be included in the electoral roll of the constituency of the current residents as per provisions of the Representation of People's Act and the RER. So what can be the way forward? First, the proposed timelines for the completion of such a mammoth exercise are stretched. The Election Commission should ensure that advocate safeguards are put in place for the completion of the exercise without errors. Second factor is the exclusion of Aadhaar from the list of valid documents can create issues for many, especially the underprivileged. After considering the ground realities during the first phase of the enumeration, the Election Commission should advocaately tailor the process during the claims and objections phase. The Election Commission should ensure that no eligible citizen is excluded due to their inability to produce any document from the list of valid documents. And finally, migrant workers should not be removed from the rolls as that can result in significant deletions. It is pertinent to note that as per the amendment of the Representation of People's Act in 2010, non-resident Indians who have shifted out of India, even for the long-term stay on account of employment, education, or otherwise, are entitled to register and vote in the constituency in which their address as per passport is located. So migrants also should not be excluded. So what is the gist of this article? Article 324 of the Constitution provides that the superintendent's direction and control of the preparation of electoral rolls for the conduct of elections to Parliament and state legislature shall be vested with the Election Commission of India. The Election Commission has noted that there have been large-scale additions and deletions to the electoral rolls over the last 20 years due to rapid urbanization and migration. This has increased the possibility of duplicate entries in the electoral roll. During the last special intensive revision, enumerators were sent for house-to-house verification with a copy of the details of the existing voters. However, in the present SIR, every elector will have to submit an enumeration form to their respective booth-level officers. So with this, we conclude the session. Thank you. Have a nice day.